Good afternoon, everyone. So I think you are all feeling sleepy after a nice lunch. Yeah, even me, I'm feeling very sleepy. But let us complete this work, and then after that we can go and have chai or coffee. Yeah. So caste and religion from a human rights perspective. So in India, like whenever we talk about like media, so we are talking about human rights journalism. We are talking about development journalism, right? And we are also talking about like journalism as a whole. So when it comes to this human right violations or like development journalism, all those things, the structural thing, like why certain things are like happening, why certain gender violence is happening, or like why certain caste violence is happening, or like why certain people are like neglected of their like basic rights. So everything, the root cause must be this caste and religion. Okay. So when we talk about like media, like many people they don't understand these things. They say that media is modern and it's like with technology, so there won't be like any prejudice or anything else, and people are like very professional. But it's not true, right? And we all know that media construction theory, that it's talking about like how this media is not operating in the vacuum, and media is like operating in the society. So whatever is in the society, like whatever the cultural system or social system is there, it will also get reflected in the media. It will also be carried out through the media. For example, I'll give you AI is there, right? Why we have this Alexa and then this Siri, mostly like this kind of AI, it's like only like women, right? Why is that? And again, when we talk about this mobile phones, we are having these filters. Why the filters like have to show us like very fair, right? Why? If it's a good camera, then it has to like show like so much of like lightning, right? So that was the kind of trend. Why it's there? Because even though you can say it's a modern technology and everything, right? But we have to understand that all this modern technology and whatever, it's also being handled by human beings. So the human beings, when they are like kind of socialized and they are kind of internalized with like certain social and cultural setup. So whatever it's there, they are also kind of socialized with certain prejudice and like bias and like these things, right? So that things they are also like taking over to the media, right? So that's what. So mostly the people like who are there in the media, right? So they will be kind of reflecting the kind of society or culture they are like raised, right? So that is the thing. So we have to understand that one, because this technology is also being handled by human beings. So it will also tend to reflect the bias and the prejudice carried over by the human beings, right? So that one we have to understand. But I think that point is missing in India. Whenever we say that, they will say that there is no caste, there is no discrimination, nothing. We are like kind of it's a modern India. So you are talking about the caste system which existed like 75 years back before independence, this and that, they will come up with it. But that is not the reality, because every day we are seeing the reality that how, for example, one Dalit man, for like having just a mustache, he was being killed in Rajasthan. And you can see that in UP, a man who is a bride groom, he was like going on in a horse, he was like beaten up because for like going on this marriage procession, because he's a Dalit and he was not supposed to go on a horse, right? So these are like certain things like how it's like happening. So that's what we are going to discuss in this caste and religion from a human rights perspective. So how this existence of like caste itself a violation of human rights, because caste never allow anyone to think that all human beings are equal, that you and me are equal. No. And again, you can't decide your fate and it's being like sealed from which caste you are like born, right? And it's being carried over till the death. Even after death also, which funeral ground you will be like sent, that also depends on your caste, right? So that is there. So everything like caste will be deciding. It is the reality, right? So that's what. So let me start with this one quote by Kunut Pawade. The result is, although I try to forget my caste, it is impossible to forget. And then I remember an expression that I heard somewhere: what comes by birth and can't be cast off by dying, that is caste, right? So that's a thing from like birth to death. And caste like continues to play a crucial role in the sociological, political, cultural, educational and economic existence of Indian society, everything. So even if a person will have a land or not, that also based on his caste from which like he born. So that is the thing. So it is a deeply ingrained societal problem. So it creates hierarchical social relationship, right? So it's a kind of ladder. It's a kind of social ladder. Some are in the top, some are in the middle, and some are in the lower, and some are not even in that ladder also. They are like kept outside of that hierarchy, right? So that is the this one. That's what like Ambedkar used to call it as like, caste is something like very cancerous. It is a kind of mental, this one. They'll be always conscious about like, which caste like I am born. So it's also kind of regulate and govern all aspects of life. What to eat and with whom to eat and what dress to wear and like to whom you marry and right everything, and everything is being decided by this caste. Okay, but in the northeast people think that there is no caste and then there is no need to talk about that one, but that is also a huge problem, right? So you know that it's a kind of a system of graded inequality, right? And they imagine that certain people are like born in the top, and some people are like born in the this one, right? I will like show you that one also. And again you see the important aspect of the caste system is that those who have dominated the means of production have also tried to dominate the means of symbolic production. You can see related with this material realism like given by this Karl Marx also. Here you see in India like mostly the corporates and companies, they are all like run by this very like upper caste, right? And they are like this one. And again the land holdings also you can see it's mostly with this upper caste and the other caste, the middle caste. But this lower caste, like scheduled caste in like the rest of India, they don't have much land holdings also, right? So that's what. So it's not only they are like dominating the means of production, but also symbolic production, right? Because all these media owners, who are they? And who are like making the films, right? And who are the television and who are the anchors there and who are the panelists there? Everything like, you can see that it's like very much dominated by the upper caste in India, right? So that's the thing. So here you see the Brahminical system of stratification. There is two, like Varna and Jati. So the Varna is like 4 Varnas you must have studied, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, right? And then there are also people who don't fit inside this Varna system. They are called as Avarnas. They are the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, right? So basically like most of the indigenous communities in the northeast, they don't fit in this Brahminical system of stratification. They are like kept out of this Varna system, but still this Varna system is deciding the what you call the future, the present and the past of this scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people. Okay, so that's what. So even though they are out of that system, but they are not out of the power and hegemony of the Hindu system, right? So that's why. And again this Varna also like comes like it's also like part and parcel of like Hindu religion, and this is the one which is the basis of this religion. Okay, so that's the thing. And again in this one, like you can see that these people like Vaishya, Kshatriya and Brahmin, they are like something like twice born groups, and you all should understand that these are all written by someone else and it's all kind of imagination. But if I say, they will, I think it's also on record, I can't say that. So this is the Indian tradition of like understanding people, and they believe that people are not vertically equal and they are all horizontally placed, right? So you should accept that one, because it is your what you call destiny, that you are like being, because of your like previous generation things, the sin and crime, you are being born in this one. Okay, so you have to accept the reality. So that's the thing. So here this Shudras, mostly this OBC caste, like other backward communities, they are all coming under this one. And for them, they are not, there is no untouchability for them. But for these people, untouchability is there, right? So that is the thing. And again, caste also like works with this purity and pollution, right? Certain things are considered like very pure and certain things are considered very polluting, right? So this purity and pollution only forms this caste system, right? And it's also kind of very rigid. You cannot like escape it, right? If you are born, you cannot like convert your caste, right? that you are like marrying someone or like you are becoming someone. No, even if you become a president also, you are not away from your this one, right? You belongs to that only. So that kind of rigidity is there. Okay, that one we have to understand. And then another one thing, the caste system also always think that okay, like someone is superior to me and I am also superior to someone, right? And these people are like inferior to me. So all the caste has it like superiority and inferiority. So this Sudra, they never feel that okay, these people are like kind of oppressing me or they are superior. Like they won't feel anything about it. They are only proud that they are superior to them and it's my privilege and duty to oppress them. So this is how this whole system like functions. Okay. So and again the caste system also how it like it's also like refers to an endogamous unit, right? So the caste like the if you are like marrying within the same caste only, the caste system can also be like extended, right? It can also thrive it, right? So endogamy is the major component of this caste system also. So everything like all the rituals, dress codes, food and everything, it's like kind of this one. And again it's also not like the same everywhere, like so everywhere the localized forms of like caste is there and everywhere it's like different. As I said that in the beginning that one caste in Bihar, they may not be like involved in certain this one, but when they consider it in Rajasthan, they may be considered as an untouchable, right? So it all like depending on the local culture and everything, right? So and also kind of evolving and emerging, right? All the caste, right? So that is the thing. So it's also not like stagnant or like kind of this one, but it's also kind of evolving and emerging. So that one you have to understand. So there are like three major divisions: the upper caste, middle caste, and lower caste. So the upper caste or the first, the twice born varnas, and then the middle caste, that is the Sudras. They all comes under this, but they are not polluting. Okay, right? And the lower caste, they are like not even bottom. They are like just outside the hierarchy, and they are like polluting. So okay, so it's a kind of material reality with a material base. So this is like actually historically shaped the very basis of Indian society and continues to have like crucial economic implications even today. So it's this one quote by Gail Umwet. Okay. So again, gendering caste. So when we talk about like gender equality in India, like most of these things are also stemming from this caste system only, right? Because like this one, as I said, endogamy is the major component of this feature of this caste system, right? To thrive, right? So they want to control the system, so that's what they are controlling the women, right? Because they are like putting like more chastity, and they say that the women has to be like very chastity and very pure, and she has to like marry within her own caste, right? And she is not equal to the man. So that was the thing. And again in the caste system, not all women are having the same kind of like discrimination. Okay, because like this women from the upper caste have more kind of like different types of like discrimination. For them, like the husband is the god, and like how they are treating it to be god. But in the lower caste and all, it won't be like that. Okay, but there is a different kind of this one, right? Not all women are also like equal, like everyone. That's what we talk about, like intersectionality, right? From depending on their different caste and like different social groups, their culture is also there. Okay. So again, caste is also like highly stratified and hierarchical, and caste and gender are like highly like correlated also, right? So UNDHR is like declared that everyone is equal and free from any form of discrimination, right? So they are the rights the people are entitled to simply because they are human beings, irrespective of their citizenship, nationality, race, ethnicity, language, sex, sexuality, and abilities also. And again, as per the Indian Constitution, Article 15, it also prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, right? So caste system also violate human rights and dignity of 250 million people worldwide. Okay, so hate crimes also, like this scheduled caste and scheduled tribe members are also like kind of facing this hate crimes, right? So you can see that even online also, like offline also, they are facing a lot of this hate crimes. Okay, So you can see that throughout, like, this National Crime Records, Bureau, if you say that like 24% of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe of the total population, they are accounted 32% of the prison population in 21. Okay, so even in the prison, they are the one, like, penalized, and they are the one, like, punished more and convicted more. So that is also there. So again in India, that manual scavenging is, like, kind of banned, but still you see, like, people are dying. Even in Tamil Nadu, like, every year you can see that, at least because they are, like, cleaning the sewage tanks and all, no? So there is, like, lots of this death and all, it's there. Okay, so that's a problem. So now we come to, like, media. So as I said that in the Indian society, like, caste reality is there, and we cannot deny that existence, right? And it is, like, part and parcel of our, like, Indian culture and tradition, right? And again the media is also, like, carrying over the same thing, right? So the same caste system, whatever it's in the society, is also getting carried over to the media. So we can see, so here, even though, like, media also, like, practice discrimination in the name of race, religion, sex, ethnicity, and regionalism. So we can say that even how northeastern states are being represented in the mainstream media, right? So that is also there. And again one thing, like, I think this what's his name, the media and indigeneity, in that book, like, what they are saying is that why these indigenous people are also, like, kind of, why they are indigenous is that they are not coming under this caste system. Okay, they are outside of this whole thing, and that's what, like, they are also kind of very indigenous. And, like, many of these states, like the northeastern states also, they were not, like, kind of participating in the freedom and all, like, freedom struggle and all, right? They were, like, because Mizoram and all, like, 1891 only, like, the missionaries, they came. Till then they were there. Okay, so they were never, like, part of this, like, national imagination also. So that's what they were, like, all the time, like, kept out of that, media spaces also. When it comes to, like, representation, or when it comes to, like, newsroom representation, like, whatever you say, there is a kind of huge discrimination is there. Okay, so that's what I say, like, media is both constructed and constructing. So media is constructed by the individuals with their, like, social and cultural socialization, and again constructing, like, whatever the media is there, like, it's also kind of playing a major role. So if the media is coming up with the stereotype, right, of a particular community, or a people, or some religion, like, whatever, then if people become, like, more discriminatory, like, because they have, like, learned those stereotypes from them. That's what they say, media is constructed and constructing. So socio-political, economic, and cultural rights are violated, right? So the caste-based exclusion and discrimination of Dalits is one of the main reasons for their lower human development and higher deprivation and poverty. So here we can see the media coverage. Actually, my thesis is about this, how Dalits are being, like, represented in the Tamil dailies. So from my research, we can say that there is a kind of stereotyping of Dalits. So Dalits are, like, all the time stereotyped as what you call as victims, right? And they were, like, kind of what you call, like, very negative way, right? They were, like, never, like, given the proper representation. Okay, so that is one thing. And again, they are also, like, underrepresented and misrepresented. Underrepresented in the terms of, like, how many news, right? So when it comes to this news space also, they were, like, kind of underrepresented. Even though they are 24% of the population, they are not getting that due representation when it comes to the media, right? And again, when we say, like, misrepresentation also, whenever they are, like, trying to, like, like, resist, and when they, like, try to be resilient, and when they, like, try to ask for their, demands and all, then they were kind of, like, misrepresented. Okay, so that is also one reason. So, and again, the caste conflict and reservation issues also, whenever, like, there is a caste conflict, the media, like, always goes with this first information report of the police, and, like, whatever the police are, like, given in this FIR, even if it is, like, very harmful to this particular community, but still it goes with that only. So media also, like, not questioning that one, and they are just playing by the books of that one. So that is also one thing. And whenever reservation issues comes also, like, media is all the time talking about, like, merit, right? And they were, like, kind of trying to reject the due what you call the rights of the people. Okay, so that is also one reason. And whenever there is some violence against this Dalit or like a rape of like Dalit women, they will always come up with some conspiracy. Okay, the media. So I will give this example also how it is played out. And then even though like all political parties in India, I think there is one book by forgot that one. It's a Kotari. Kotari or I forgot. Like there is one book about like how this political elections and caste representation. Like so in India elections no mostly like played by the caste this one only. So someone will be getting a MLA or MP seat based on the caste composition only. So if there is one community is like very strong in that particular and they can get more votes, then they'll be choosing that particular caste only. It's not only one political party, all the political parties, but they won't be called as caste parties, but only the Dalit parties when they are like trying to ask for their rights and all, and they are forming like political parties, they will be always like kind of represented as like very casteist. Okay, so that is how like it's happening. And then so the discrimination faced by the Dalits in the society is also carried over to the media. So like it's like very minimal coverage. And crime and violence. When you talk about like crime and violence, so if something happened, okay, so uh, if like they won't be talking about the violence of the other parties involved in the particular conflict, but they always like try to like exaggerate the violence or the the reply given by these Dalit parties, right? So that is also one problem. Like the violence, like whose violence is getting represented, even though there are like lots of violence are happening. If you go and take the National Crime Records Bureau, you can see that how much these Dalits and Dalit women are being like tortured like every day, and like how much of violations, human rights violations are going on, right? But that one will never come to the fore, right? But if they are like in some way like in conflict, if they like react or something else, then it will be like totally like exaggerated. Okay, so that's a problem. And again this untouchability, like there are in many villages still they practice and all, but they will never care about that one. Okay, because I had a like many interaction with this journalists and editors and all, then they'll say that what is like novel in that one, there is no novelty, and it's like happening every day in the villages, like why we have to like report it, right? So they don't feel any like they don't want to problematize. It's nothing like new, it's there like forever, like why it's okay, no need to make it as a news. Okay, so that is also one problem like with this this one. And then when it comes to like education or language challenging or like whatever, the media is also like representing that one. And how they will be like covering that one, like usage of lexical choice that suggest bias. For example, in Tamil Nadu, there was this there is a estate, tea estate called Manjolai. So in this Manjolai tea estate, this workers predominantly they belongs to this Dalit community, and they were asking for this salary hike because they were like working day and night, so they wanted to have this one, and they had an association also. They were asking that one and demanding that one, but the government and the state, the district, they were not like taking care of it. So one day they all came out from Manjari, it's a hill village. From there they all came down to the main district headquarters, and it was like near a river, okay, Tamarabarni river. It's a perennial river. So near that, they were like kind of on a procession, like demanding like the price hike and all. And suddenly we don't know like what happened. There was this fight between this. They started. The police started this. Dalits like they started throwing stones, and the police started like attacking. And at the end, what happened? Like many of the people, to just avoid like getting hit by the police lathi, because the police lathi is like very this one. So they all like jump into the river, right? And then like nearly 44 people they died in that one. Okay, died or killed. So we have to use kill, right? Because nobody wants to die as if it's not an accident also, right? It was like but the media like the next day, like out of the government pressure and everything, they were all just say that people like died in this Valley. So they all jumped into by jumping into the river, and they all died. So that was the thing. Here they are not using the kill. So how active violence was there, right? particular this police were like very terrible, and then they were attacking the people. But this what you call this what do you call they were like trying to show it as passive, okay, just they themselves like went and like died, something like that, okay. So the usage of words, whether they are using killed or like died, all those things have a like hidden meaning is there. So we have to like very careful about like what kind of terms they are like using. There is a two different meaning between violence and force, right? Violence is something like very this one, but like many of the time they will use very subtly force, because they don't want to like kind of highlight that violence, okay. So that's the thing. And then also the Dalit politicians, they all said like they felt like discrimination, and their opinions and views were like never like reflected, and if they are like in alliance with like other parties, then only their views are being like taken. So these are the things, and you can like go and check, like there are like n number of like research articles on it, like done on this, like how the media like covered these issues, and you can see. And again, why the media is not representing this one, they always say the news value, right? So in the morning also we said that like human rights issues or human interest stories can comes under this prominence, novelty, and this one what you call proximity and all, right? But again with the same news value, they will say that it happened somewhere in Maharashtra. Like there was this one massacre called Kairlanji massacre that happened in like Maharashtra. Like one Dalit family was like brutally killed, and like mother and daughter were like raped. So it was like so brutal, okay. But that one was not like reported for long, and after like a few weeks only it started like getting reported in the media. So one person like wrote a letter to this Hindu, and the letters to the editors, asking that why Hindu was not paying attention to this one. And the reader's editor, he gave a reply that it happened in Maharashtra, so it was not like very close to Tamil Nadu, so it was like doesn't have this proximity news value. That's what like we didn't report, right? So that's what like when we talk about this news value, like why they are like covering this one with this proximity, because this one what you call the distant suffering, right? Mostly they will like let the people who are in the distance suffer also, they won't mind it, okay. So that's what happened in the human rights reporting. So if some people, for example, if something happened in Manipur or Nagaland or somewhere else, the other parts of India, they doesn't have anything, they will just cross it in a day, right? For them it's not going to affect them in any way, right? So the media is also like working in that same way. But media's role is to give equal representation to everyone, right? Because everyone is the citizen of India, and the media is bound to do it. They have the social and moral responsibility to do it, but they are not doing it. Why? Because only certain sections of people are there in the newspaper, and the owners are there. So that's what the other people's like issues are not being like getting represented also. That is one thing, okay. So that's what like lack of in-depth reporting, and advertising also like it plays a major role. Who are the advertisers, that one also. So again, they also, you can see that there is a kind of exclusion from newsroom. There is one famous essay by Robin Jeffrey, In Search of a Dalit Journalist. I think you can find it in the New India's Newspaper Revolution book also. In that, like how he was like trying to find a journalist and he couldn't. And even B.N. Muniyal, like there was this during this Mayavadi's period. What happened? There was this one kind of tussle between journalist and like Mayavadi party people, and then there was like it was there in the news and all. Then like one foreign correspondent of this one B.N. Uniyar, he wanted to interview like any Dalit journalist. Then he asked for it, like can I like see anyone, like it happened in 90s, okay. But like he couldn't find any. Then only he wrote that one, In Search of Dalit Journalist. And again this Robin Jeffrey also in his thing, he also mentioned about that one. Why like Dalits and like they are like very less. So the newsrooms in India, they lack diversity, right? And the gatekeepers also like who is, and again most of these decision makers, they are all from the upper caste. Even now because of this television channels and all, now even in Tamil Nadu you can find like many Dalits are working all over. But who gets to be in the decision making thing, you can see that it's only the upper caste and the OBC caste, but not the SC/ST. So that is that. And media ownership also, it's mostly owned by the upper caste, like elite groups only, right? So that's the thing. So here the media coverage of Dalits is also showing that it's also a kind of new form of untouchability, right? Media is also, there is also one incident that during Ambedkar's period he started one newspaper called Mook Nayak, and he wanted to give advertisement in Kesari newspaper run by Lala Lajpati Rai, I guess. Then he sent out that like, I want to advertise about my paper, but Kesari newspaper, they didn't even want to publish that advertisement also, because they thought that it's a kind of impure and it's about like Dalit, so we don't want to like publish it, right? So that was the kind of like mentality, people like how they are, like that's what I say, these human beings are the one like using this technology, and if they have a certain bias and this one hidden bias, then it will also get reflected in the news reporting and everything. Okay, so that one we have to listen. And again, the casteism is also operating in the media, the form of news coverage and newsroom composition. Okay, so the new casteism operates in the media in the form of news. So that's the thing. So when it comes to like violence against Dalits also, like that like media is accused of showing more crime and violence. They always say, we have studied this media cultivation theory also, na George Gardner. They say that if people are like watching all sort of like crime and like this one, they will feel that the society is like very unsafe and everything, right? So we are also kind of saying like there is so much of violence, but like that kind of violence, like what kind of violence and whose violence they are showing, right? So that is a big question, like whose violence is like getting like more importance, and why we are not talking about the people who are being oppressed, right? So that is the question. So you can see like all these massacres, no, like you can go and check it out in the internet also, lots of this, this one, like all these massacres and everything, you can see that the media have downplayed the thing. Okay, so and this Hathras, it happened in 2020, right? And then like the little girl was like raped, and then she died, like kind of died in that way in like within 2-3 weeks, right? But there was a kind of huge controversy in the media, like the particularly the television channels. They were like kind of there is a huge news, but I think it's a very long news reported in the Wire. I guess you can Wire or like somewhere else. From that only I took this thing. So how they were like very indifferent, and then they are trying to sensationalize everything. Okay, they are not seeing with the human they don't think it as like one girl has died and the family is like suffering and all. They are not thinking in that way. They are just trying to marketing that one, and they want to monetize someone's like suffering and pain. Okay, so how they were like sensationalizing everything, and then they also like accusing, like again the victim blaming, and then like trying to put like more this one on the victim's family, right? This is kind of happened. This didn't happen in 20 1947 or 1956. It's happened in 2020 only. It's not even like 5 years. Okay, so you can see like how this one, like how they are like trying to sensationalize everything, and they were not like kind of reporting it with the human interest angle. Okay, and then honor killings also, you can see that in Tamil Nadu also there are like many women are being killed, or many boys are being killed because a upper caste girl tried to be in love with a lower caste man, and then they try to elope and get married and all, they are being killed. Okay, so you would have like seen news from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and even in like Haryana and all, like it's like that, right? But like the media will never talk about that one. They will never criticize like why this is happening, right? Because like there is this inequality is there like structurally, but we are not like focusing on that one. That's what like it's being like carried away also, right? So that's the thing. So this is Oxfam report, like who tells our stories matters, and representation of marginalized caste groups in Indian newsroom. There is a separate report, you can find that one in the online. So in that you can see of the 121 newsroom leadership position, editor-in-chief, managing editor, executive editor, bureau chief, input-output editor across the newspaper, TV news channels, news websites and magazine under study, 106 are occupied by journalists from the upper caste, and none by those belonging to the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Okay, so you can see. how they are kept out of that privileged media spaces also. And like 3 out of every 4 anchor of flagship debates or epochs, not one is Dalit, Adivasi or OBC. For over 70% of their flagship debate shows, news channels draw the majority of the panelists from the upper caste. So no more than 5% of all articles in English newspapers are written by Dalits and Adivasis. So Hindi newspapers fare slightly better at around 10%. And then over half of those writing on issues related to caste in. So who also like given the chance to write about caste is only the upper caste, right? You cannot talk about your suffering, but like the perpetrator can talk about that one. That's the thing. And around 72% of violent articles are also by the upper caste, right? And only 10 of the 972 articles featuring on the cover pages of 12 magazines under study are about issues related to caste. So this is the reality. Okay, so you can see the full Oxfam report also, like it was there. And again, for the women, like again the patriarchy, it's very difficult for them, and caste is a structural problem. Casteism is there, and women are also not like there is also even though women are there in the media, but again not like it's like kind of equal, right? So again, like women are like less in the media houses, and again who are in this editorial positions, and that one also you have to see. So that's what you can see, that gender and caste insensitivity media content like throughout. Okay, so you can see like representation of women in like northeast or like everywhere. I remember that in Assam, I guess, um, 4 5 years back, uh, there was this one channel. I forgot the name of the channel. That like some women are like going on in their shorts, like mini shorts and all during the summer. Then the Assamese news channel, it was like following them, and then like made a news that you see these women are like half nude and they are like roaming around in the city and all. Okay, so that thing. And even there was this one more incident in the MG road, no, that one girl who was coming out of the pub was kind of harassed, and then it was like live telecasted, right? So that was there. So like why we are like very insensitive to like women, because we are not considering women as equal, right? Because that is culturally accepted, right? They are always like they try to say that in all the religion, like all the religion and in the all the communities, like women are not like kind of they will like always come up with this one. So that's what the same thing is being carried over in the media also, right? So that's the thing. So it is there in the society. Without like making structural changes in the society, you cannot like bring about like change in the thing, right? So a director, when he is making a movie, if he is like socialized with that thing, and if he is like kind of socialized in a way that like women are like weaker, and then women can be like used only for this as a what you call cosmetic, right? So for beauty and everything, then he will be making a film in that way only, no? Then how come you can like kind of this one question it, right? For someone it can be a tradition, but for someone it's a kind of violation of their human right. So that's what this paradox is there in the Indian media. Okay, we are like going, to and fro. They won't say that that women have the right to like choose their like partner, right? Because in the northeast it's very different, but in the rest of India, even matrimonial advertisement, right? So that presence itself like leave the what you call like it's like letting the uh, people to think that it's very normal. It's very normalized, right? To like find a partner in your own caste. It's like tradition and culture only, right? So that's the thing. It's even like kind of neglecting or rejecting the girl's choice to choose someone. That's what last week also we are having kind of debate. They used to say in those olden days there is this Swayamvar was there, and the women is given the freedom to choose. But there are only 100 people brought by her father, and she has the thing like from this 100 only she has to choose one. Like we are saying that choice based credit system, there will be like yeah, there will be 10 choices they'll give, and then they say from this only you have to choose, right? And even if you ask for 3 4 this one, but we will like give you allot you one thing, right? Based on some lottery system or like whatever. So it's a kind of illusion, as you said, like illusion of choices only. So likewise only for women also it's being like rejected, right? So that's what like you can see, like that's what like women are being like it's I'm just giving one example for like decide the decision to like marry. In other cases also, like how we are like women are being like marginalized. So that is also like kind of carried over in the thing. So you can say that there are like lots of this. Even there was a report by this Malayalam film industry, no, there was this one women association called Amma, I think. They have like put out one report, like I think 2 months back or 3 months back, I guess. I think 1 month back. Even there is a huge report on it from this one, like how women are being like harassed in the film industry, like like how they are like kind of asked for like sexual favors and other things, right? To give a like this role and all sort of things, and how there are not even like proper this toilet facilities in the shooting spots and everything. Okay, so everything like, so it's not just like if and only you like respect like women, you will be like taking care of those things, right? So this what you call like toilet facilities and everything, all those things. So that's what like in the film industry was also the same. So you should like read that report also, how it was there. So these are all happening because in the society it's all being normalized, right? If a man if a husband hits a wife, it's a normal thing. Hey, it's like lovers struggle, yeah, lovers like this what you call, they call it lovers fight. They will like tomorrow it will be like, it's very normal only, right? So we always like normalize the abuse and discrimination and everything, right? So that's what it's also being like are celebrated in the media. So that's what like we have to see. So that's what they have used the word like hegemony, right? So women are being like manipulated to accept that one, right? So you see like how this Hindi cinemas are celebrating this Karwa Chauth, na? It's a perfect example of like hegemony, like so you are accepting that someone is your master, your husband is your master, and your master has to have a very long life, so you have to do it. But for that they will say love this and that, all sort of thing, and they'll pack it very nicely, right? So that's what like how they are like asking you to like willingly get into that role, okay, because this is our tradition and you have to do it, right? So that's the thing. And so all this like particularly like religious minorities, and then this caste minorities, and then the sexual minorities, all those people, they are a group of people who are marginalized, discriminated, unaccepted, prejudiced, and hurted by the majority in the name of race, religion, sex, ethnicity, and regionalism. So, who do not have enough power to publicly oppose bias reporting. Okay, that one. And again, minority doesn't mean that they are minor in population. No, they can be like minority means they can be like huge in number, but still they are minority because they don't have the power to oppose like some injustice happening on them. Okay, so that is there. So there is this huge studies on media and minorities. You can go and check like across the world. It's not only Indian problem, it's a universal problem, like everywhere, like because we human beings, we doesn't want to treat our fellow human beings as equal, and we always think that I am superior to someone else, so I have the right to kind of overrule you, right? So that kind of mentality, like we human beings we have, like that's what I think makes the difference between like animals and human beings, I guess. We have that kind of ego, no? So it's a kind of universal. So that's like all the societies are not like egalitarian, and there is this kind of who is like superior and who is like inferior. This thing is there, and the superiority and inferiority is like made on different bases. In India, it's caste. In US, it can be the skin color, right? It's based on this one. So the race. Likewise, across the world it is there, and there is a huge studies on that also, like how these minorities are being represented and marginalized and stereotyped, all those things. You can go and check it out. So how they are like trying to form a negative identity of the minorities, and how they are like seen as a threat to the status quo of the society, right? Because if someone is getting like marginalized, and if they question it, they'll say that because you are like resisting that one, then it also disturbs the peace of the society. Why you are questioning it? Just accept it and go, right? So that kind of tendency only is there. Then this one too, like I think we have already said, like lack of representation, and then like have less access to the media also, and then they have also like they don't have that kind of material what you call like power to like kind of run those media also, because like running media is also like expects like more money, right? So the people who don't have that kind of money, like how they will be like running the media also. So that is also one problem. And I think there is this one work by Van Dyck, Theon Van Dyck. Actually, he has written about this critical discourse analysis. If you go and see his work, that CD, critical discourse analysis, he is talking about like racism in the Western media. Okay, so how this migrants and immigrants and then the minorities are being treated in the media. No, you can like see how it's like kind of, it's not just like limited to news reports and like editorials, but it already begins with a daily routine of news making. It's being like totally internalized and inbuilt in the media industry. Okay, and then this Islamophobia, you see how it all started, right? So it all started from this twin tower attack, right? So after this 9 bar 11, 9 bar 11, like this twin tower attack in this one, then the whole media in Western countries, they started kind of demonizing like Islam as a terrorist religion, and all the Islamic or like kind of like terrorist, right? So that kind of like phobia, the fear and dread of like Muslims has been like spread by the media. So that is like anti-Muslim discourse is evident in all the Western countries, in France, in UK, all the European countries, and also like US, and even like in Asia also, like we have this one, right? So even now Bollywood cinema, the villain is should be a Muslim, right? And with a bird and everything, right? So that was the thing. And you can also see this Islamophobia like works a lot, like how they are like portraying Islam as a militia and as a political force, and then they also forgotten that like Islam is a religion. They are not like representing Islam as a religion. That thing. And even in India, you can see that kind of hatred, enmity, envy, and jealousy against each other, and there is a kind of lot of this, so many jihads in India. Population jihad, halal jihad, land jihad, love jihad, and even in Assam you have this flood jihad also, na? So that things, so all those things. And you see, 75 percentage of hate speech events took place in states, right? You can see these are all like, like again now in this last 1 year there is this lot of hate speech against these Palestinians like online. Okay, they are the one getting killed, but again they are also receiving the hate, right? Even like 1 week back, what happened in Amsterdam? No, there was this football. This people like fans. There was a kind of this one, right? But in the beginning, if there was kind of this misinformation, right, disinformation, like everyone started blaming the Muslims only for like attacking, but later on only they found that the other party was like inciting everything, and then they like debunked that one. Okay, so how that one? So like how this mainstream media, particularly even like all this very what you call like very high profile media houses, no, they are all becoming like more Islamophobic only, that you can see. So Indian media also you can see that how the mainstream TV channels are being like spewing venom against Muslims.